Hey everyone, welcome back to the Incredible India podcast series. I'm Taylor, and joining me for this deep dive is Sam.
It's great to be here. We're going to be exploring one of the quieter, but I think most fascinating natural wonders of India today.
We absolutely are. We're focusing on the Hoolock Gibbon.
Mhm.
Now, this is India's only ape, and you find it mainly in the forests of Assam. Our mission for this deep dive is to really get into the source material and uncover some surprising facts about their gravity-defying movement, their social lives, and how you can actually go about seeing this rare creature.
And the material really sets the scene so well. I mean, this isn't your typical safari experience. You're not listening for the roar of a tiger or the trumpeting of an elephant. This deep dive is about listening for a very specific sound, a song.
Right. The encounter is described less as this, adrenaline-filled thing and more like a private moment, almost like reading a secret chapter of Earth's biography.
It paints this picture of these graceful acrobats. You're really diving into a world of speed and height.
So let's start with the most fundamental point, the one that sets them apart immediately. The Hoolock Gibbon is the only ape species you can find anywhere in India.
And they live specifically in the Hoolock Gibbon Sanctuary in Assam.
And to understand them, you have to start with how they move. This is what really differentiates them from all the monkeys in the region.
It's everything. Monkeys, they tend to leap, they run along the branches. Gibbons are built to swing.
Okay, so we have to break that down, that mechanical difference. It seems to define their whole life up in the canopy. The term for it is brachiation.
Brachiation, exactly. And it's so much more than just swinging. It's a very specialized form of locomotion.
And that lets them move faster, more efficiently.
Way faster and more efficiently than any other primate that lives in the trees. It all comes down to their anatomy.
Their arms.
Their arms. It's the first thing you notice. They had these extremely long forelimbs, proportionately longer than any other primates. They're the tools of their trade.
And I imagine the shoulder has to be just as specialized, right?
Right. Oh, absolutely. They have a very shallow, highly mobile ball and socket shoulder joint. That's the key. It allows for a full 360-degree rotation. It's like a frictionless pivot point,
So they can just glide through the air using momentum like a pendulum without having to stop and reposition themselves.
Yeah, and their hands act like hooks. They're built for speed, so they minimize the time they even need to grasp a branch before they launch to the next one.
The source calls them masters of the canopy, and that it's the closest we get to witnessing flight without wings.
That's a perfect description. In a single swing, they might cover 10 feet, maybe even more. And it's not just for travel, it's an energy conservation system.
How so?
Well, they use less energy doing that than a monkey would scrambling along the top of a branch. But, and this is important, the specialization also creates a huge vulnerability when the forest gets fragmented. We can come back to that.
That makes total sense. An adaptation for moving up high becomes a liability when you're forced to cross the ground. Let's shift from their movement to their social structure, which is just as unique. This is where it gets really interesting for me.
Yeah, their social life is defined by this incredible fidelity and coordination. Gibbons pair for life. They're strictly monogamous.
And they maintain a little nuclear family unit, raising their young together.
Right, and they reaffirm this bond every single morning with a ritual.
The duet.
The dawn duet. It's a remarkable thing to hear. As the sun rises, the male and the female, they start calling together. It starts soft, but it builds into this loud, complex, echoing chorus.
So what's the science behind it? It's not just, a romantic serenade. It serves a real function, right?
It has a dual purpose, really.
Yeah.
The first is pretty obvious. They're declaring their territory. That song is broadcasting their location, telling other gibbon families to stay away. It's an auditory fence.
An auditory map of boundaries.
Yeah.
And the second function is the social one.
Yes, and this is the vital part. The coordinated call acts as a powerful social glue. By performing this duet, they're reaffirming their partnership. They're strengthening that marital bond.
And the complexity of the call, with its alternating parts, must require a lot of focus from both of them.
Intense focus and commitment. And if you want to connect this to the bigger picture, this whole social system is fascinating for anthropologists.
Oh, so.
While most other great apes, chimps, gorillas, they have very different social patterns. But gibbons, with their pair bonding and territorial defense, they offer a potential model for how early hominids might have lived.
So studying the gibbon family could give us clues about the rise of cooperation and pair bonding in our own evolution.
Precisely. They're a window into a very specific evolutionary path.
Okay, let's turn to the place where this all happens, the Hoolock Gibbon Sanctuary. The sources really stress that the habitat's context is just as important as the animals.
You have to see it as a biological island. It's this patch of ancient, dense rainforest, but it's totally isolated. It's hemmed in on all sides by tea gardens and, critically, a railway track.
So it's fighting this constant battle against fragmentation. And it's not just home to the Gibbons, is it?
No, not at all. It's a crucial hotspot. Hulamapar is one of the last safe spaces for 7 different primate species. You can see stump-tailed macaques, capped langurs, pig-tailed macaques.
But the Gibbons are the undisputed stars.
So stars. Graceful and just, in a league of their own.
So for anyone listening who wants to experience this, the sources lay out a pretty clear logistical plan. It's not a quick trip. You need to plan it right to catch that dawn duet.
You do. The best way is usually a 2-day circuit, starting from Guwahati.
Okay, walk us through day 1.
Day 1 is basically the journey. You leave Guwahati in the morning and you travel overland through rice fields, little villages, and then you get deep into the tea country of Upper Assam. Your base for the night is the town of Jorhat.
The tea capital of India.
That's the one. And staying in Jorhat is essential.
Why there specifically?
Because you need that pre-sunrise departure. To see the gibbons when they're active and vocal, you have to be in the forest as the first light is hitting the trees. Their calls can carry for over a kilometer, so listening is how your guide will find them.
So day 2 starts in complete darkness. You make your way to the sanctuary, you wait for the sun, and then for that chorus to start. What happens then?
Once you hear the call, the guides, who are absolutely essential, they lead you into the forest. And the experience is all about patience and silence. You're just scanning the treetops.
And when you finally spot them, the physical differences between the male and female are really obvious, aren't they?
Very obvious. It's called sexual dichromatism. The males are jet black, like sleek shadows, but the females have this beautiful honey-colored coat, buff or golden brown.
And you see the whole family unit moving. The male, the female, and the little one clinging to its mother's belly, all while they're moving at high speed.
That's the moment. It's incredible. And while you're looking for them, you'll see other things too. Troops of macaques, colorful butterflies. And if you are extraordinarily lucky, you might spot the slow loris.
Ah, the slow loris. That's the one with the unique toxic defense system, right? Very unusual for a primate.
Extremely rare. They're small, they're nocturnal, and their defense is basically chemical warfare. It produces a toxin from a gland near its elbow, mixes it with saliva, and then licks it onto its fur.
Wow. So it turns itself into a little poisonous weapon.
Primarily against predators like snakes. It's a thrilling but very rare bonus sighting.
Which brings us back to that central contrast the sources make between the quiet awe of this experience and the adrenaline-filled excitement of, say, a tiger safari.
It really speaks to the humility of it all. You're watching this ancient, perfectly adapted creature that's surviving in a habitat that is clearly under siege.
Let's talk about that conservation piece. The Hoolock Gibbon is listed as endangered. What are the biggest threats in this biological island?
The #1 threat is habitat fragmentation. The tea gardens push right up to the forest edge, but the railway line is the most acute danger. It's a total barrier. The gibbons can't cross it safely to get to other foraging areas or connect with other populations.
So they become genetically isolated, trapped.
Exactly. Trapped in these little green islands. And that's why responsible travel is so important here. When you visit the sanctuary, you're directly funding local conservation and raising awareness. Every visitor becomes a storyteller for this species.
And that shift from just being a tourist to becoming an advocate is so powerful. For travelers who want to see more of Assam, this gibbon experience seems to fit really well into a bigger itinerary.
It forms a perfect trio, really. The intimate gibbon encounter blends seamlessly with 2 other iconic destinations.
And those would be?
First, Kaziranga National Park. That's where you go for that classic big mammal safari. It has the world's largest population of the one-horned rhinoceros.
Okay, so that's the thrilling grassland element. What's the third part of the trio?
That would be Majuli, the world's largest river island, right in the Brahmaputra River. It offers a cultural counterpoint. Serene landscapes, ancient monasteries, mask making.
So you get the 3 pillars. The quiet grace of the gibbons, the powerful rhinos, and the deep river culture. A perfect Assam immersion.
It showcases the incredible diversity of the region, from the smallest primate to the biggest mammals, all anchored by a deep cultural history.
All right, let's quickly recap the most fascinating takeaways from this deep dive. We established they're India's only ape, and their movement is defined by brachiation.
That elegant, swinging style. We also talked about their social life. the lifelong pair bonding, and those critical morning duets that act as both a territorial marker and a social glue.
And finally, we recognize the importance of Volongapar Sanctuary as a vital but constrained biological island for an endangered species.
Hmm.
So what's a final provocative thought for us to mull over on these masters of the canopy?
I think we should consider the incredible detail scientists get from studying them. The fact that their entire evolutionary success depends on such extreme specialization. Their long arms, their complex calls, makes them exquisitely vulnerable to the smallest environmental changes. It really raises the question, when is a perfect adaptation a strength, and when does it become the ultimate liability in a world that's changing so fast?
That is definitely a lot to think about. If you decide to travel to India, we have a recommendation. Five Senses Tours organizes tours across India, which are immersive cultural experiences. You can email contact@fivesensestours.com, note 5 Senses written as a numeral in contact at fivesensestours.com, or WhatsApp to +919-845-677-446.